All right. Well, I'm not sure where each of you is, but I'm in Los Angeles County, and the world, I think, knows that we are experiencing a lot of weather out here. Rain, 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 rain. My family from Florida keeps texting, "You guys surviving?" I guess. So we're doing good here. I've had it for probably all week, and my message this week keeps being how important and showing up for our life is. Like just showing up is 80% of the success. And been keeping up with my going to the gym and through the rain uh, and what helps me is to have an accountability partner. I know that they're going to be there. So we're enduring out here in Southern California. Um, so our topic today is hope in aging. And when I was thinking about this topic, I thought of, to me, it's, I think of three major topics that create a sense of hope. And what I've seen in people over the years, I'll say like people that I've seen that are aging and some maybe experiencing challenges. Some people aren't very hopeful, or they don't have a good attitude, I would say. Um, and some do. So the common themes that I see are fall under three categories. One is acceptance, and John Roger talks about that as being the first law of spirit. Second is gratitude, and third is a sense of purpose. So those are the three main, I saw topics of today that I see, and so I'm going to read some quotes and just talk a little bit about those topics for me, and then I'd love to open it up and hear from you all. Uh, what what um, what what do you feel hopeful about as you age, and what has worked for you, or people that you know? What would you like others to know that works for you or doesn't work for you, and anything else you'd like to share? So I'll start with I printed in big enough fonts. I think I could not read use my glasses. Well, this is a good topic. Acceptance. As I'm aging, my eyesight's getting worse. So for a long time, I was squinting instead of using glasses because I didn't want to accept that I needed glasses yet. But then eventually I did start using glasses and my vision got a lot better. So acceptance, JR quote, the first law of spirit is acceptance. This is one of the most important principles in the unfolding of spiritual awareness. Acceptance asks you to accept any situation as it is and to accept yourself as you are. You accept what is. The law of acceptance is actually very logical. When you set aside your feelings and thoughts and negative fantasies, what is all that's going on. JR. I find this is one benefit as I'm aging. I see uh, that when I was younger, I would have certain fantasies of what I should do, what I should be, what a successful person look like. My stories had to do like, well, you're a successful person in life is like a movie star. Uh, they were famous. They were skinny, usually like long blonde hair. They had a lot of money, those kind of things. And so, or they were maybe a famous author, they were on television, things like that. So instead of living in what is around me or who I am and what my gifts are, like I don't have blonde hair. I'm not tall and thin. Uh, I've never really been into acting. I've never taken any acting lessons. Like if I thought that that would be successful, I never even took any lessons. But all of a sudden, that's going to be it. So there were all these fantasies, and then they were um, incongruent with what was going on, and so that caused me tension and stress. So as I'm aging, I see one of the benefits is, and it's not just aging, but it's also my spiritual growth and coming more into acceptance of accepting what's unique about me and what is going on right now. I today am not a movie star. I have a lot of other talents though, a lot of other talents, and I have a lot of things that I've shared and will share and all that, but it's not being a movie star. Uh, and when I accept that, I can feel successful. So acceptance, um, it's acceptance to me also as I age is sort of there's a balance between accepting changes as I age versus just going giving up, I will say. For example, uh, sometimes my shoulder hurts more than when I was younger. Sleep on it wrong and it's just really achy sometimes. And I go, well, do I just accept it? Like, oh, it's just, that's just what it is. I'm just getting older. It'll never change. Or if my skin is a certain way, or my bowels are a certain way, or whatever it is, and do I just go, well, that's it? And as a matter of fact, I hear that sometimes with my clients who've been to an emergency room, say something's happening with them, and they go to the emergency room, and a doctor might say, well, you're getting old. That's it. So to me, that's sort of like giving up, not acceptance. Moving into acceptance would be like, hey, my shoulder's sore. Is there anything, and that's different than it's been. Is there anything I can do about it? So sometimes it's massaging it. Sometimes it's eating foods that may be less inflammatory that I know, like, oh, when I eat sugar, my shoulder hurts more. So I have an opportunity and a choice to go, like, I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm starting to learn to sleep on my left side because I've always slept on my right side. But if I know that hurts, I've got a choice to change. When my clients go into the ER and we hear that from the doctor and I'm advocating for them, well, first I try to get a different doctor. But secondly, we try to go like, hey, yeah, that may be, I am getting older. And let's find out if we can rule anything else out. Do I have an infection? Do I have, what else is going on that might be curable, might be fixable? So trying to fix things or make it better, accepting what I can't change. So that's how I see acceptance in aging. Gratitude. Gratitude's a great one. All right, I'm going to read you one JR quote and one John Morton quote on gratitude. Here's JR. The antidote for lack is gratitude. Gratitude is a choice, an attitude, an approach towards life. My gratitude for this moment does not depend on what is going on in this moment. It is the moment, regardless of what is going on, that I am grateful for. My gratitude for this breath is not about the breath. It's that I am breathing, that I recognize it comes from a higher source and that I am alive. Gratitude is a moment-to-moment celebration. And John Morton, focus on gratitude. It's a great attitude. So find your gratitude. Find what you appreciate. Find the value in the situation. This is an amazing way to move things away from feeling stuck or from a problem focus. If you're viewing a situation as a problem, something you don't know how to solve or you don't know how to handle, look for the gratitude. Find what you appreciate in the situation. So I think it's similar to acceptance, yet different meaning if I'm grateful for what I have, then, for example, sometimes I go, well, I would like to be thinner. I would like to my skin to look uh, better as it's wrinkling. I wish I had fewer wrinkles. I wish. All right, those are some like that. I wish it was different. But then, like a year after that point, if I look at pictures of myself back then, uh, like, dang, I was looking pretty good. What was I thinking about? So a year after today, I'm going to feel really grateful about how I am right now. So then I go, Jerry used to say, if it's going to be funny later, it's funny now. So if I'm going to be grateful later, why not just be grateful now? So I'm never going to be as young as I am as today. And in some ways, my body's going to look different. My health is going to be different down the line. Some are going to be stronger. Some are going to be less strong. Um, so what I hear in these quotes is that the gratitude isn't dependent on anything besides I'm breathing. So it's like how my body's aching or if it's whatever, it's aging, it's all good. Like I'm breathing, and it's moment to moment. And that talks about our attitude. And in aging, I find that sometimes we don't have choices about things. Like there's certain things about aging that I am not being able to change. Like the skin here, I could probably change it like with a facelift or something. But there's certain aspects, if you see even like movie stars, famous, successful, that maybe are getting some work done, some plastic surgery done. There are certain parts of their body, maybe their hands, for example. There's certain things that they cannot really change. So it comes down to what is our attitude about it? All right. So third is a sense of purpose. And I've got two, well, again, a John Morton and a JR quote. So this is a quote from John Morton about purpose. Stay involved with the things that are on purpose with your upliftment, your learning, and your growth. Get involved in your true fulfillment as much as you possibly can. And regardless of how well you do that, it's going to happen anyway, because that's part of the spiritual promise. Not one soul will be lost. What does that mean? You are a soul who can't get lost. That should translate to encouragement to choose whatever fulfills your soul's purpose. And JR, to receive, you must be active. Keep in mind your purpose. You will receive in direct proportion to your clarity of vision, your definiteness of purpose, the steadiness of your faith, and the depth of your gratitude. So I find that the people who are enjoying their aging the most that I've seen, and my own aging, is when we wake up in the morning and we have something to look forward to, something that we feel like we're using our gifts. That could be volunteering. That could just be finding someone to minister to along our way that day. Sometimes it could be a smile. Sometimes it could be teaching others something that leaving your legacy. Um, and also people scheduling purposeful activities, meaning, hey, every Tuesday I do this workshop. That's part of my sense of purpose. I love Tuesdays. Sometimes if we don't have anything on our schedule, it can be challenging. And so to know that we have value, other people, to other people, and that's really looking at aging in a new way, right? What do older people have of value to give back? Is a challenge, because that's been when you think of ageism and people have negative views of aging, they're like, well, what's the value? They're not working, they're not paying as much taxes, maybe they're not able to do certain things. Well, that's true, but there's other things that we can do as we age that are excellent and awesome and really valuable. So when we're giving back to people and using our skills and feeling like we have value, really can improve our uh, sense of value and our hope in aging. So that's my 2 cents. I'd love to open the floor and hear whatever you all have to share about any of this today. If you want to share, just raise your hand or start chatting if you can't find the raise your hand button.
There we go. No, close.
Hi.
I have
Yay.
up there. Well, throughout, is my volume okay?
I can hear it. Sounds great.
Good, good. Throughout my life, I've been an introvert and didn't really, and felt smaller than everybody else. And I've, in another aspect, bigger. I've been a leader of. I've led hundreds of people. I've led small movements. Been a leader in larger movements. Had always in high school had 3 girlfriends. I don't know. And then the last 4 years or so, my wife of 51 years had a terminal illness, and pretty much all I was. Oh yeah, and as a doctor, I'm seeing once again hundreds, thousands of people in my career. There is one and only one person that occupies 20-something hours of my day, taking care of her and dementia and all those things. Well, so there's been quite an acceptance in that. At some point, it was like, oh well, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing, and that was really good. Now she's passed, I'm kind of opening up and looking around again, and accepting that, oh, I'm a leader of one thing. I take ham radio reports to the weather service from a county, but that was one of my big things that I developed, and now it's kind of a minor thing. But accepting the change of role, and I'm very grateful that if I was still in the position of leadership and all these different things, ain't no way I could handle it. I couldn't handle the last 2 years, and now I don't have the same mental and physical, and no, I couldn't handle it. But I am grateful to be breathing and kind of finding my purpose somewhere in the middle of all this. My initiations and my spiritual life has come through beautifully. My wife and I, she was pretty demented when she got her soul level initiation, but she's really sharp for that, really. And in fact, just before she died, she's in a coma and hospice and stuff, and she would popped up a couple times, and the minister's there, the chaplain, he says, "You want a prayer?" She pops up and does a prayer. Fantastic prayer. He says, "The best I've ever heard." Goes back. Just before she pretty much left, didn't come back to speak or anything. She said something very much like that JR quote. She said, "Suddenly," when she kind of opened her eyes and looked around and looked, "Suddenly, each moment, or every moment, suddenly each moment is precious." And she was conscious, and the room was filled with light. Yeah, maybe a minute. She's gone again. But well, I certainly have a lot of gratitude for that, because I don't have all these feelings of, oh my God, I failed her in so many ways. No, I went along with her, and we worked, and we did the spiritual thing, and what else is really important? And now purpose, well, continuing that thing, I kind of continuing the SEUs and purpose, and kind of looking for a little more clarity. I kind of re-entered more my level of service with the community, just little bits, reapply to the ministry once I find enough people that know me again to give me a recommendation. I said enough.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You reminded me of another good point, is acknowledging ourselves for all that we've done in our lives. For you, it's sort of clients and your wife, and especially there's something special about serving people who maybe don't know your name or can't say specifically you. Thank you, right? I worked with people with Alzheimer's and dementia for many, many years, and I would give so much, and then like almost nobody knew my name. So it was a great opportunity for selfless service and trust, because I
Yes.
knew when they looked at me, they could trust me. I knew that they knew that they could trust me to have their back. There was just this sense, but it wasn't like, "Hey, Cheryl, thank you." So that was beautiful, and it was a great opportunity for me to acknowledge myself, to go, I know what I've done when no one was looking. I know what I did. And you, especially with caregivers for people with dementia, you are the only ones that know what you've gone through and the sleepless nights and what happens in the middle of the night and the behaviors and, oh, the depth of that. And you're the only one that walks with that. And so important to really deeply acknowledge yourself for that. Um, and one of the unintended consequences is, I think we find out, like, wow, I'm a really good person.
Yes.
I did really good, So
True.
thanks for sharing.
And she didn't. There were certainly times that she certainly didn't know my name, and wasn't. And wasn't. We also have a good friend who is God just has helped a lot, an awful lot. But now I'm mostly taking care of him. But yeah, sometimes she thought he was the husband. Well, we've only been married 51 years. Who are you? But she always knew I was. When we looked at each other eyes, she knew I was there to help. We loved each other, even if I was maybe the butler.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Peggy.
Hi, everybody. Just on what you just said, Cheryl, I have a friend who is, really having trouble with their memory. And, I said to this person, you know what? If there comes a day that you cannot remember my name or who I am, I said, don't worry, because I know who you are. And I meant that I know who you are inside. And that was a wonderful experience on that. And then in terms of the aging, it's interesting we're talking about this because this is something I've been really dealing with recently. And the way it has shown up is, oh my gosh, I can't do everything that I used to do. I can't, and I'm talking about physically. And that was really hard for me to accept. And that's just in general, about the aging. And then I had some personal things that were within my control that was affecting my ability to move, to walk, to stand on my feet. So overall, when I, realized that, oh my gosh, I can't do everything and I wish I could, that's where the acceptance had to come in for me. And the other one, I made some notes here that showed up with that is, well, if there comes a time where I really can't, be as physical or productive, it's like, what is my sense of purpose? And what I came to is like, my ultimate sense of purpose is just to be loving. And so if I'm in a wheelchair, if I'm laying in bed, or I'm, limited in some way, the one thing that I can always do is be loving in any circumstance. And that was comforting to me because, in a way, and that goes to sense of purpose, I really came down to that's my real ultimate sense of purpose, is to be loving in any situation, in any restriction that physically I become involved in, that will always be there. And then the other one is the gratitude. And the way that has shown up for me, and I write gratitudes every day, is I say, thank you, God, for my life. And thank you for the learnings that I derive from my life experience. And, I'm very deeply grateful for that. And I realize that, throughout my life, I've been given opportunities and lessons to learn, which has brought me to where I am. And should I, decline further in any way and, perhaps need help, because that's my ultimate, I don't want to happen, that gratitude is always there. It's like knowing, well, this, may be, if this is what's to be in my next step or my next part of life, that I'm grateful for that. And there's always a learning. And with regard to aging, it's like my learning will mainly be acceptance, and that I still have a purpose, and that I can be of value in the world. And so that's been really big for me in terms of sort of, I call it a come to Jesus moment, And the other thing that I got was that, when I'm physically, to the degree I'm physically able, some of the things I've considered doing is, just because they bring me joy, is fostering kittens. And the other one is I have a series of flower photographs that I've taken over the years. And when I look at them, to me, it's when I look at the flower, it like awakens my soul. I just, it's like, this is who I am. And my wish is to share those with as many people as I can, should they, be valuable to them in awakening that part of them. And then the other thing that has come to me, and that is because of an experience I had yesterday, is that to be prepared for meeting people who don't have a home, who are on the street, which I met yesterday. And I gave this person some food, and I went to get him other things, and when I came back, he was gone. And what came to me is, oh, Peggy, here's the opportunity to stock up on umbrellas, raincoat, rain ponchos, things like that I can keep in my car. Also to keep a little stash of money, so that when I get into that kind of a situation, I'm prepared. So that's like another way that I can give back. So I've slowly started to see that even though I'm aging, even though I may be physically limited in a way, I still have a lot to offer. And all of it is really based on loving. So that's what I have to share. Thanks.
I love that so much. Thank you. And that's so true. When it comes down to it, it's just about the loving.
Yeah.
And no matter what, even if someone is like bedbound, can do nothing, they can still be loving.
Yeah.
And then you talk about change of like you're changing how you do it.
Yeah.
Like maybe you drove around town all over the place and walked lots of places, or did those kind of things before. Now like, oh, I'm gonna have food in my car, so when I'm driving I can hand it out the window. those people. So finding ways to give and be loving. I love that as you change and finding your value. Love all that. Thank you so much. We're in a workshop, Birdie and Karen, we're doing the Insight Masters class right now, which is super powerful. And we talked about our expanded paradigm of like who we are. And it reminds me of what you said. Mine, sometimes it's like I am worthy or I am enough. And mine was I am love. And if I can just remember that, like in any situation, whatever it looks like, I am love. And reminds me of what you were saying, like I'm doing things in loving service. I'm being loving. And that's really what it comes down to. I don't need to be a movie star. That's just what I'm saying. Just don't need to be it. It's enough to be loving. And wow, if everyone was just loving, we could change the world. And we do change our part of the world and ourselves with that. So thank you for sharing. This quote reminds me of someone on the call. I'll say Birdie on the call. The quote about, where is it? It reminded me so much of you. Reminded me of his purpose. Get involved in your true fulfillment as much as you possibly can. Stay involved with the things that are on purpose with your upliftment, your learning, and your growth. And I see Birdie at like every Insight training, and she just puts herself in that energy. Like, this is where it's at. And she feels good when she's there. The people that are there are blessed by her service, her loving and her caring. So, and that's a cool thing. Like, hey, I'm retired. I can just I could put myself in places. I've got the more time flexibility. To just do things I'd love to do. I asked my mom, who's 84, she's visiting with me right now. I asked her this morning, so I'm going to talk about hope. And she goes, I said, what do you think? What's good about being older? And she said, what's really funny to me, I can do anything I want to do. And it's so interesting, right? Like, at what age or what stage do we give ourselves permission to just do whatever we want to do? She's like, I could put gas in my own car or wash the windshield, or if I want to go to lunch with someone, I just go. But that's also comes from, she went from her home at that time that she was around. So there was rules for that. And then she went to being married and having 4 kids, caring for people, doing her work, then help, working in the business, my family business, helping my dad, and then help caretaking for my dad for a couple of years when he had cancer until he passed. And so, I think he's passed away like 10 years ago now. But that unraveling of the roles and the rules and the caring for other people. And I'm so celebrating her that she's like, I can do whatever I want to do. That's right. Anybody else want to share? Yes. Joyce.
Hello, I'm Joyce, and I'm in Arizona. This is my first time here, although I've been wanting to jump in on these calls. I relate to everyone's sharing here. I've been a caregiver. I know what that's like. Lost my husband 6 years ago to Alzheimer's. I live next door to my twin sister, and she fosters cats. So, we're really on board with taking care of those kittens. What I'm noticing is, my sister, she recently had a knee replacement surgery last fall, and she just, her mental capacity is just not the way it was before the surgery. And of course, I have concern about that. She lives her life. She makes very different choices than I do. And so I just have concern along those lines. So light ahead. to our journey together. And to be a caregiver, as many of you know, is a 24/7 calling. And it's quite a spiritual journey. And honestly, I just want to relax and enjoy my life and be at peace. And it may not be that way in my future. So I guess acceptance is really a big key for me, and also the gratitude. I do feel like I have a purpose, you know, with a spiritual path in the movement. There's quite a lot of purpose there, just holding the light, being of service. And I love your idea of just having those little ponchos in the back of your car, or food, or loose change to give people. There's so many people in need. And what a great purpose that is. So thank you for reminding me to have those things available in my car. It's hard to avoid these days. I live in a rural area in the desert, and there's just a lot of need just in these little rural areas. Thank you. That's all I have to say. Light
That's
ahead. God
beautiful.
bless all of us in this
Yeah.
journey together.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Mhm. I heard recently, aging, like aging is living. And I was thinking about that, and I like, I kind of get that. It's sort of like, until I was at least 40, I say for me, but some people say 30, 40, whatever that age is, like we're just cruising. I mean, for the most part, right? This like, typical aging or typical world. There's challenges in other ways, but kind of cruising. Things are good. We're healthy. We can kind of eat what we want, move how we want, play what we want. Like just life just kind of happens. And then, when we're like 30, 40, 50, 60, somewhere in there, things change that we have to like, it's like more, I'd say like our intentions and our choices make more of a difference. And we have to, it's like, I don't know, challenging brings up, we get to live. I don't know. There's some magic in that. Like when I was a hospice social worker, and I worked hospice a lot with clients over the ages. And I love that work because when someone gets a life-threatening diagnosis, things usually get very real. They can, conversations happen that may not have happened, clearing can happen. People may make changes in their life that they've always wanted to because there's this time thing. Anyway, so that tends to happen, or has more of an opportunity to happen, as our bodies change. And so in that way, there's like hope and excitement in aging. And it's nice to have the community to share things with and to uplift each other. And we also, I know you're new to the call. I didn't really introduce this part of it, but as a geriatric care manager for so many years, I've had a lot of experience with, I think like 90% of my clients had dementia. So sometimes find like if you're having a challenge and you think, I need help with this certain thing, or I've got a question to improve something, or so I'm open to answering those type of things. And sometimes other people on the call have even better ideas. So as a group, we can talk about those things too. Okay, Bernie.
It's really funny that you mentioned retiring and doing what I love. I think I've always done that. I remember when I graduated college, I got a job and I hated it. I won't go into the details, but it was like, and I swore I will never, ever do anything I don't like anymore. And I know the inside thing of have to choose to. So sometimes my choices bring those, well, yeah, if I want to do this, I got to do this. And I'm fine with that because I love that piece of the insight. And every time I assisted in Insight One, it just goes even deeper of, okay, I'm choosing whatever it is, and this goes along with it. And the other thing that really struck me was years ago when I kept thinking I have to get another job. I don't have a lot of money. Somebody gave me this book and I tore the cover off. It's been on my wall next to my in and out door, probably 30, I don't know, 40 years. I don't remember. And I never read the book, have no interest in reading the book, but the cover is like an ongoing affirmation. And it says, do what you love and the money will follow. And that was like this huge revelation for me because I do absolutely love service. I've done pretty much everything USM has done. And yes, I adore Insight, especially now because it's the only thing really in person. And I love being on Zoom because I get to be with all of you who aren't next door. And it's like, oh, that's really cool. I love ministers' meetings and seminars, prayer groups. But when I'm at Insight, there's something so special about that. And it just goes so deep inside. And something that you shared, Peggy, really, really hit me of, you know, I'm not as young as I used to be. And I used to be able to get on the floor, get up, go here, go there. I was constantly moving. Even when I was working at USM, at one point I was a receptionist for a lot of years and I couldn't sit still. It was like nobody was in the office. I'd get up and I do my movement and I do my thing. And as I get older, I still do it, but it's different. And I've talked about acceptance of body stuff. So I've really had to work with myself with that. And it's really funny because I do journaling for the first time in 77 years. I never liked journaling, but I'm in the Transcendent Leadership class and it's part of what we're doing in there. And I thought, okay, surrender and do it. And it's really funny because the messages I've been getting from Spirit for quite a while are slow down. And I realized, I really am kind of slowed down. Yes, I'm very present when I'm assisting, but then in between, there are times that I just crash. It's not even slowing down. And what I've been getting the last few weeks is it's not slowing down, it's being more conscious. And that was such a profound revelation for me of, being conscious even when I'm walking, even when I'm sitting, when I'm listening, of where, not that I haven't been conscious and aware, but there's a part of me that's been really speedy. And I go on and okay, now to this, now to that, now we do this, which is partly why I love sitting at the door in Insight and greeting people because it keeps me focused. But it's like, be more conscious and aware. And it's huge. It's profound in my life of where are my choices? And why am I making that choice? And it's really funny because there's a part of me that hasn't wanted to do anything except when I'm serving. And it's really like, wait, what's that about? Where's that coming from? And it's serving or in groups like this. I mean, I look forward to this kind of thing. It's really fun for me to get to know people. That's my most favoriteest thing. So, and it all kind of fits with my ministerial blessing. It's all about the form and the formless. And the first line, and it was given to me by JR, so it's a little convoluted. The form of unfoldment varies according to that presents itself. And it seems like my whole life, things have presented themselves. When I do ideal scenes, I always do them how I want to be. It's not about, I want this and I want to have that and I want a new this. It's like those things just come to support how I want to be inside, which is really kind of cool. So I feel like I'm rambling here, but that kind of got spurred from what you shared and then what you shared, Peggy. And I would also love to get those quotes. Those are really good quotes. So maybe you can send them out or something. So thank you. And thank you all for showing up so I could be here.
Mhm. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. And the words that you used, like I say intentional aging, you were talking about being more conscious and aware. That's what I was trying to describe into like after we get to a certain age, 30, 40, 50, that it's like we've got to be more intentional instead of just letting, we could just do whatever we want. We still can do whatever we want. And there's more consequences as we get older. So thank you. Nancy.
I'll clear my throat here. Greetings to everybody. I'm loving the
Greetings.
rain. I don't know about you, but it's really coming down. I wanted to share that my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, died 2 nights ago.
Mm.
Her children were with her, and my brother was with her. And it was a scene that, as it was described to me, because they're in Cincinnati and I am not. But the scene was that her family was around her and she relaxed and seemed to be at peace and died quietly and peacefully. I only talk about it because I had been talking with my brother for several weeks who was handling the decline of his wife very well, I thought, and continue to think. And he had arranged, they had have a big house, and he had arranged to have it cleaned and worked over. And on a phone call a week or so ago, he enumerated for me all the beds they have and all the rooms they have for people to sleep. So he said, I can accommodate everybody in the family, he said. And he had a vision for how he wanted that to happen. I spoke to him about, I sort of introduced the subject of what lies next after all the things that go into handling a person's death. And he didn't seem interested in that. And it kind of taught me, watch out, because in terms of hope that we could pass along to somebody else, it may not, it's about timing as much as anything. And that's about our intuition. So I backed off the whole subject of what's next, and maybe that's a future conversation with him. And so that was one of the things I was interested in sharing, just as caregivers ourselves. I'll speak about it for myself. I need to be careful about timing. And what I'm introducing is subject matter to somebody who's dealing with a life-changing event, as he certainly is doing. Everybody's fine in the family and light to them, the Carter family.
Mhm.
Let me
Beautiful.
see,
Definitely.
there was something else I had in my mind, but it's come and it's gone. I live in an assisted living facility where the opportunity for service is massive. And I will say, and I moved in, as Cheryl knows, before I moved in, I started talking about what is the purpose of my being here besides getting healthy myself. And so I created for myself a purpose for being here, which gives me joy and hope and all those things. And it's working with the people that I run into here. It's amazing. I just need to sit down somewhere and somebody approaches and starts telling me about a daughter who doesn't talk to them or whatever their concern and difficulty might be. And I think they're just drawn to somebody who can listen. And so that's the heading that I gave my service project. But there was no facility here for if I made a friend of somebody in another apartment, if that person passed away or had a life-changing event, there was no way for me to find that out unless I heard the gossip of the caregivers. And just this week, a flyer came around to all of us offering for volunteers the opportunity to serve the people in who are in need in the next apartments or something like that. I don't yet know how formalized that's going to be, and we'll see.
Mm,
But I thought, it's something is created where there was no opportunity. So that's
mm,
hope right there, isn't there? And I think hope is
mhm.
very much attached to change and can be a force for good, or in some cases that I know, a first force for difficulty. And our job is to catch that hard ball of hope and turn it around to be of service. I think that's
Hmm.
all I had, Cheryl.
Catch that hard ball of hope and turn it around to service.
Yeah, throw it back at somebody,
Throw
but
it
with
back
service intention,
with loving. Yes.
using a
That's
sports.
yes, I love it. Somehow Cincinnati comes to my mind when you say that. The Reds or something.
Yeah, they've got football as well and everything. So
Yes, yes. Well, God bless you. I know we've been sharing about your family and your sister-in-law, so God bless them all. And thank you for the reminder. I think sometimes people might use hope as a not necessarily a weapon, but right in the it is about the timing. It's one thing about I think my intention in hope was an internal experience for ourselves, the people here on the call, the people who are listening to this. How can how to have hope inside of ourselves and create healthy aging for ourselves as we choose. And then if I try to offer hope to someone, sometimes that's tricky because then it's a timing thing. If someone just loses someone, Brene Brown has some work on like, well, saying like what you don't want to say to someone is like, well, at least you have other people in your family that are alive, right? You're trying to offer them hope, but it's like, that is not a good time. That's not a good timing. So if we have hope in ourselves and we feel clear and uplifted within ourselves, then we can be present in using our intuition as far as the timing with our loved ones. So in this case, with your brother or their family. So you're filled, if you're in acceptance and gratitude and feeling purposeful, we have purpose. Then when they call and say someone died, you can be loving and caring and be a good listener because you come from a place of you're filled, not necessarily needing to do something to them or throwing that hard ball. Could be a hard ball, right? If they don't have their glove on at the time. Like, oh, damn, didn't mean to, bruise your head there with that throw of hope, you know. But being of service and being loving and present with them, that's beautiful. I appreciate that sharing, Nancy.
thank you.
Hmm.
Thanks and blessings to everybody.
Hmm. Hey, Carol.
Hi, I'm listening to the rain here in Baja and calling from Mexico. And thank you, Cheryl, for these talks. I wish that it had started earlier and in the season that you did them. But today, what I wanted to offer is that hope is a choice, and that intent before intention. I think it's the mindfulness of where I am today, and that this is not a bad thing. I really kind of liking aging. I had a wonderful career, and that I'm very proud of. But I'm not interested in revisiting it. And I think there's hope every day because I choose to be hopeful, and I choose to be hopeful around other people. And sometimes it's just a smile. Sometimes it's the things that 20 pesos that I give to the guy that's parking in the street, that's watching the cars here in Mexico. But to me, it's the most hopeful thing I think about is to choose hope rather than, like what Purdy said, to choose mindfulness of being still, because I'm like her. I used to be very, very active, overly so. I still am, but now I can choose to be still and to enjoy that stillness. I can choose to sleep in. I couldn't choose that for all of my work life from the time I was 16 till the time I retired at 60. So I think it's a choice, and to be mindful of all the possibilities of choice. So that's what I've got. Thanks you again for all that you do and for everyone that has shared. It's very helpful and hopeful for me. Thank you.
Thanks for choosing to show up with us today. The past Zoom classes, Zoom times together are also on YouTube. If you go to the heartfelt.org site, up on the top, it'll say resources, Aging with Dr. Cheryl, and then it'll have our past recordings on there if you ever wanted to see past
Thank
recordings,
you.
but there's nothing like being live, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Don, you have something to share?
Regarding the past recordings, are
Yes.
there any labels that like particularly deal with issues like setting up wills and trusts and finding a geriatric care manager?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, and I'm always open. Like if you all have topics you want to talk about, please send it in. If you send an email to serve@heartfelt.org, serve@heartfelt.org, it'll come to me and say, hey, can we talk about this topic? So we have done workshops on important documents. So powers of attorney, will, trust, and if you need a geriatric care manager, there's a national association of them. And if you can find them by going to aginglifecare.org, aginglifecare.org. And they're definitely nationally, they may be internationally, but if you type in the zip code of where you need the assistance, then the closest people will show up.
I got the link wrong last time, and I wound up some agency that basically sells referrals, and I get all the calls back that they could look up in the phone book, and it's like, oh yeah, $60 an hour, we send someone out to you. Yeah. $30 an hour. Nothing like what I'm looking for here.
That's so frustrating, isn't it? Yeah, it's so frustrating. But aginglifecare.org are professionals, and they charge for their time. Now, there are free resources available throughout the country. And sometimes if you call a geriatric care manager from that website and say, look, we don't have the funds to pay someone privately. Can you just tell me where the local services are that they have free care management? For example, around Los Angeles, the SCAN Foundation there's SCAN Insurance and then there's SCAN Foundation. So it's two separate things. SCAN has what's called Independence at Home, and they have free care managers because it's government money. You could also contact, in the United States, contact your local area agency on aging, and each state has them. There's state and there's county-wide. So you can kind of do some Googling about that, area agency on aging, and they also have free resources, information referral. If you live near Santa Monica, a great organization is WISE, W-I-S-E, and Healthy Aging is a great nonprofit in Santa Monica.
Right.
So,
One everyone surprises me. I'm talking about I'm aging and looking at the potential of needing kind of caregate someone else. And it's like, okay. And the other's like, it's literally all I've come up to so far is just a home health aide or a nurse, and we've gotten the wrong tracks, and no one had the slightest idea where to refer for a more global how to manage one's life and set it up for maybe a few years from now that I won't be able to do that. So I appreciate that.
Right. It's a great question. So can you put in like 2 sentences or just briefly what exactly you're looking for?
Right.
How would you describe it?
I have decreasing abilities, especially mentally, and maybe early Alzheimer's. They're still it's early at this point, but I recognize it. I've seen it in others, and I saw my own MRI, and I said, "Ooh, okay." So I'm looking in 2 levels. One, I'm doing okay on in terms of slowing the process, maybe reversing, doing the best I can, mentally, physically, etc. And 2, the how do I arrange for my assets to be properly, for myself to be taken care of the best I can, and all those things that I did for my wife, that I ain't got nobody to do that. I didn't do that.
Right.
I didn't do that very well with her. I didn't find the right resources. I want to do better, learn from that.
Right.
That's not.
That's a great question, and I know we've been doing some work with Peggy with getting resources together for Heartfelt and MSIA. So it kind of walks people through what documents you need, what to fill out, things like that. A care manager is a great place. I think that one of the most important things is to find your people. Sometimes people have set up trusts that's for money and belongings, right? Wills, where your stuff's going to go, and a power of attorney for healthcare. So if something happens to you, someone that can help you with your healthcare. Power of attorney for finances, so someone can access your finances and pay things for you while you're still alive. Some people can choose a bank, for example, or a professional person, random person. Some people choose care managers, but if you have someone you know and trust, that is a big piece of this, that you can convey. If this happens to me, this is what I want. If this happens to me, this is what I want. So that person knows you, can advocate for you, and will do. If you were here, that's what they would do. So they're not doing it for themselves or because that's what the book says. It's like they know you and can provide for you. It's very important, and I'm so happy that you're doing it now. And so early planning is really key. Yeah, and so there's also finding financial advisors or fiduciaries. So I think that would be wise for us to set up another call soon. So I think in the next couple of weeks we'll set that up. So if you check your emails, where it comes up with the topic for the day. So the next couple of weeks we'll do that. And if anybody on the call has specific questions about that they want answered, and sometimes I'm just looking, because I do this kind of thing, and I wonder, like, what is it that people would Google? Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking that you need? So if you send an email to care of Cheryl to serve@heartfelt.org and just give me some ideas, think about what is your fear? What do you think the problem is? What do you want the answers to? And then that will help me create the workshop for us.
Thank you.
And in between now, a important key is to find your people, right? So some of the people on the call, I've been their people, but there's other people. It's like, who are you aligned with, and who will you trust in your time of need? And it's then to do the paperwork for that, and then you can rest easy. Like that's my people. And then you look at it maybe once a year. You're like, is that still my person? Yeah. And then you might be a person to someone else. I would be careful with the image in your MRI, of what you tell yourself about that. Because if you look at some research, there are people that have that upon autopsy, their brain is has shrinkage, and it looks like they should have demonstrated, have had the behavior of Alzheimer's during their life, but they didn't. And then why? So just because there's a scan isn't conclusive of anything, right? It is what it is, but it's great that you're doing the preventative thing. And no matter if anybody's had a scan before, it's like, let's do the preventative stuff. And really it's, keep moving, learn new things, be mindful, be grateful, the things that we talked about today, and eat well. Manage your overall health is the best preventative. So excellent, great topics. I love this. It's so exciting.
One caveat
right.
I've been, my friend's been in law enforcement all his life, and Miami-Dade County, boy, it's really got a lot of people that are opportunists, and many of them are in positions of power. It's real easy, apparently, for someone to declare themselves to be your guardian ad litem and be in charge of everything about your life and suck your money dry and leave you in a little nursing home. It's like it's a real serious caution. I've been warned even when going out and getting diagnosed, because basically I'm self-diagnosed in terms of memory loss and things like that. And it's just like, oh well, the MRI is also in that direction. But everyone professional is like, oh well, it's true. They memorize everything, and I still do very well in a lot of tests. And unfortunately, as a kid, I was a near genius. It's like my brother was a genius in the organizations. Never keep up with him, but I was kind of close sometimes. So the point is, when my intelligence goes from a very high level down to where I know I'm getting way down from where I was, they're still thinking, oh, well, he's pretty good. There's a trend here.
Right. And that's the
I used to build computers. Now a cell phone is getting really hard to operate.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. Part of that is aging, as we shift to learning new things, and it's, things change. Right. So your comment about it's really easy for people to, I'll say, take advantage of you.
Exactly.
So in Florida, I know it's, well, I had my own grandpa who was sort of, I'll say, taken advantage of in his older age.
Come in.
The woman that was befriended him.
It's okay. I've got
after a little while started changing his name, putting her name on his accounts, and then had a younger friend helping her, and so started taking over that and pushed all the family away, things like that. So, and then she took him to a lawyer and changed all the paper, did all the paperwork to say, oh, she's the trustee now instead of my mother. So that does happen. Not just in Florida, but what I was saying in Florida is I met, when that was happening, I met with the elder law attorney down there, and I said, hey, my grandpa even has a diagnosis of dementia on his chart, but now, she's had paperwork since then, even though he has a diagnosis. And in Florida, there's a rule about the 2 doctors have to say he has dementia before that and is incapable, doesn't have capacity anymore to make their own decisions. And then, at that time, he couldn't go get new paperwork done. Different states have different rules about what that means. So that's important to find out. That's why it's another reason to have your people that you trust. There's a lot of people that are going to be taken advantage of, and then that's not going to be you, because you're going to find out how to protect yourself, and you're going to get the people that can advocate for you. Right.
Right.
So it can happen, but we'll get you find your people, you get your paperwork done, and then find out in your state how to, so if my mom would have known, and my grandpa would have been a little further along in his dementia, she could have taken him to 2 different doctors, had him declared, not having capacity, and we could go from there. That's a longer topic that I don't really want to go into anymore today, because we're past time. And I see Peggy has her hand up, and if it's about this, I'd rather just handle that at our next big visit. If you have anything briefly to add, Peggy, that'd be fine. I just would like to wrap up, because it's a big topic and it's so important, and I want you to feel protected, and as well as everybody else on the call. But find your people that you trust will be in your homework assignment between now and our call in a couple weeks. Does that sound fair enough? All right. All right. I love you all. Thank you so much for your energy and your choosing to be here. Love you. Enjoy your day. Take care.
Thank you, Cheryl.